Hello friends, welcome back to the vlog. Today I'm going to share with you 5 things we no longer buy now that we're doing a no spend year and now that I've made the kitchen my hobby. So first thing that we're going to talk about, you've seen me make a lot of these over and over and over again, sometimes for years. But the first thing we're going to talk about today is broth. We haven't bought broth in a really long time, and we definitely will not be buying broth for a very long time now that I'm making it in the Instant Pot. So I used to make it on the stovetop in our Dutch oven, and I would just put all of our veggie scraps from the week into a pot covered with water. I'd let it boil for like 45 minutes to an hour. And it was great, but it made half as much as it makes when I make it in the Instant Pot. So when I make it in the Instant Pot, I get literally twice the amount of liquid. And what I learned is that the Instant Pot doesn't actually, nothing evaporates while you're cooking it in the Instant Pot. And I really originally started doing this because I started using bones. I don't always use bones, but if I happened to make like pork or beef or something like that throughout the week that had bones in it, I'll just add it to our broth. And that has been going really well. However, I noticed, whoa, I'm making double the amount of broth that I was making before. Great problem to have. And it is, that's still the deal. So now that that's the case, there's not really an opportunity for me to run out of broth and need to run to the store and grab some for a recipe. I also keep a jar of Better Than Bouillon in our fridge. If we're in a pinch, I still don't buy broth. Like I just have that like one $5 jar that I can pull from to use, and I never have to go buy a carton of bone broth or broth for a soup or something like that. So we no longer buy broth. And honestly, this broth is more flavorful. It reduces food waste, and all around it is a better situation for us than buying those cartons of broth that, especially the cheaper ones, they are really like the really cheap ones just to have no flavor at all. And, our grocery budget right now, we're trying to keep it below 700. So anything I can do to cut our cost, I'm willing to do that. And this helps me to have free broth and save some food from the compost and helps us to, enjoy it more. So all around a win. The other thing that I no longer buy anymore is bread. I have made a commitment or decided to learn how to make every bread that we use as a family. So far I've learned to make sourdough loaves. I've learned bagels. I've learned how to make hamburger buns and pizza crusts and sandwich bread, dinner rolls. I have made tortillas. I feel like I'm still working that one out. I don't feel like I have that down to, like, I haven't found my recipe yet on that. But it's been a really fun process of learning and picking up new skills. Mostly I use instant yeast and some form of a sourdough discard recipe. That's like typically what I'm doing. I have a bread maker, which I only use really to do the dough cycle. So I let it knead and rise in the bread machine, and then I can shape it and bake it, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not that hard, honestly, and it's a really affordable way to have bread around the house and things that we like to eat. Sourdough loaf, I don't put into the bread machine. I do that all by hand. But otherwise, everything else we use the bread machine for, which makes it a lot more straightforward, honestly. Like, it's not too hard. What I am making here are bagels. I feel like you've seen me make bagels 1,000 times, so I'll speed through the process of that to spare you a bit. But yeah, we are making our own bread now. The next step, once I find the recipes that I really like, where I'm going to pass them along, they're currently in our recipe book. But I'm going to like share with Obes so that we can both be making bread if we run out. I also currently like having kind of a par in the freezer. So one thing that happens, that like a change we had to make with doing homemade bread, is that it gets kind of hard in a couple of days. That's not something that happens when you have bread from the store with a lot of like preservatives and goodies in it. But we can leave it in the freezer and easily reheat them, and it's not a problem. I like to have a certain amount in the freezer. So I like to have like 2 sandwich loaves in there. I like to have about 8 bagels in there if I can. And we kind of have English muffins in there. And that's really it that I want to have around. However, that's not always perfect system. Like I am not always able to just like make bread right away. So we're fine tuning the details on how that's going to work and how it will work for us. But for now, that's going well. We use the air fryer to defrost. So I can like pull a fully frozen bagel out of the freezer, put it in the air fryer for 6 minutes on reheat, and then just slice it and toast it like normal. And it's great. And so that's been the method there. For the milk bread, that's what we use for sandwich bread. That stays pretty well. It has the tongzong in it, which is like a natural preservative, and it keeps it really soft for the life of the bread. Plus, it doesn't last very long at our house. Like it gets eaten pretty quickly. So we haven't had that really go bad yet. And the sourdough as well. Like it doesn't really get too hard before I'm ready to bake another loaf. But the bagels, those will last about 2 days. And sometimes it's nice to like take them out the night before and then you have them ready in the morning. It's just kind of like, if you know for sure that someone's going to eat them, then that's great. The other thing here with the bagels, I used to make bagels by rolling them into like a log and then wrapping them around my hand and rolling them. And I found that they don't rise as well. So they looked really pretty, but I don't think they rise as well. So now I kind of shape them like a little mini loaf, kind of build some tension on the top, bring it, tie it up into a little ball. And then I poke a hole through the middle and open that hole up to make it into a bagel shape. It just seems to rise better when I do that. And that's about it on that, honestly. And these bagels will have to rest for about 30 minutes. Let me know if you'd like a more detailed like bread video specifically, because I do make so many different kinds of breads now that I could probably make a video just on the breads that we don't buy at the store anymore and talk more about like how I do it, what recipes I use and things like that. Right now I'm just boiling those bagels and then I'm going to put them into the oven and move on with the day. We like to put a little bit of cheese on our bagels, I like sesame seeds. We do everything but the bagel seasoning as well sometimes. And the kiddo, they just like them plain. And that's about it on that. So that's what we have. Nice little mix. The batch that I make has about 8. And they always turn out really nice. The next thing that we don't buy from the store anymore is vanilla extract. I went to go buy vanilla extract because we were running low, and a little 1 ounce jar was $20 for pure vanilla extract. And then I found out that this is probably not true, but I believe I believed them. But I did read an article that said that imitation vanilla is made from like beaver gland or something. And I was like, listen, I bet I can make this. I looked up how to make it and I made this entire jar for less than $20. This entire like a half gallon. Now here's the downside to making vanilla extract. It's very, very easy to do. You literally just put the vanilla beans into a jar and cover them with vodka. It doesn't even have to be nice vodka. And then the hard part is that it takes a long time. You have to let it sit for 6 months minimum. And apparently it just gets better as it ages. So we're going to do 6 months, which means I made this in December. So it's going to be like June before we can use it. But that's okay. It's going to last me probably forever. And apparently you can use these vanilla beans again. So you don't even have to like buy new vanilla beans for the next round. You can just replace the vodka, which is crazy. All you have to do is shake it like once a week, make sure it's nice and, shaken up, and then you're good to go. We put ours in like a dark pantry and, away from the sunlight, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. It's crazy to see it here because it is so clear, the liquid, and now it's like fully brown, and looks like, vanilla extract. All right, the fourth thing that we no longer buy from the store are the different kinds of sugars. So I didn't know this before, but apparently all the sugars, powdered sugar and brown sugar, are made from cane, just regular sugar. Like, I had no idea that was the case. I thought brown sugar was some sort of magical concoction or came from a different plant even. I had no I feel silly for not knowing that now, but apparently that's the case. And powdered sugar is just ground up sugar. So if I put that cane sugar into a blender or a food processor and just let her rip, it would turn it into powdered sugar. Isn't that crazy? And brown sugar, and y'all, I don't even measure anymore. This is the first time that I ever made it, but now that I'm comfortable making it, I don't even measure. I really just put it in the food processor and let her go. But you put white sugar and molasses into a bowl, and I tried mixing it with a spoon, and that does not work. I have to put it in a food processor. And then you put it into the food processor. You put it into the food processor and you grind it up, and it comes out as the brown sugar that we all know and love. This is more on the lighter side, but you can make it dark brown sugar by just adding more molasses. That's the whole deal. I'm going to definitely just be buying regular old sugar and keeping it around, and then I'll make my own sugars. It's crazy. So the more you know. Some of you who already knew that are judging me, but I honestly just had no clue. Which brings me to the final thing that I no longer make or no longer buy. That is condiments. Well, here's the thing. We do buy condiments, but I no longer buy condiments that I can make from other condiments. You know what I mean? What you see me trying to do here, this was an unsuccessful attempt. If you watched the last video where I talked about my no spend, you might have heard me talking about like my desire to make sauerkraut, and I was doing an experiment without any sauerkraut weights, and it didn't work. It definitely didn't work. And I'm not going to buy fermentation weights just to make sauerkraut with, because sauerkraut's like not that expensive. It's not that like in demand at my house, So I'm not stressed about it, but it was more of like a fun little project that I was trying to do. However, with other things from now on, if I make a recipe, I try to find out if it's something that I can make or buy. Now, sometimes it's much cheaper to buy it, but a lot of times it's like I already own all of the ingredients to make it. So I made a pulled pork recipe a few weeks ago, and I was like, what's the barbecue sauce? I had all of the ingredients to make the barbecue sauce, so I just made it. Same thing, if we want to make honey mustard, we can make honey mustard. We always have mayonnaise, mustard, and honey in our house. Salad dressings, we can make all of our salad dressings. Pesto, we made pesto last week. It's just much easier, much cheaper to make at home than to buy most of the time. Now, I know a lot of people make mayonnaise, and I think that's a really good example of when I wouldn't make a condiment, because I bet homemade mayonnaise is so delicious, but there's no way it's cheaper. Like, it's a lot of eggs, it's a lot of avocado oil, and then it goes bad fast in the fridge. And so for me, it's just not worth that unless I was making it as like a special treat. It would be a special treat. It wouldn't be like in replace of me buying mayonnaise, you know? So I think that's all on that front. So, I have a few salad dressings still left. I'll probably keep buying ranch just because we have a brand we really like. But almost everything else, I feel like I would like better made from home, and it would be cheaper to make from home. So condiments are my last item that we no longer buy. And that's it, friends. That is my little journey into no spend, the things I no longer buy, and why we no longer buy them. If you want more videos like this, just let me know. I can do themed specific ones like bread or maybe condiments once we've kind of made more, and I can share those recipes with you. Just, let a girl know. All right, friends, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.